Good morning, everyone. The topic of this video is on cognitive bias in the judicial system. However, before we get started, we have to take a step back. Imagine yourself in this situation. You wake up one morning and decide you need a new t-shirt, so you decide to go over to the local Target to find a quality yet affordable option to buy before the start of your next week. Upon arrival, you walk over to the t-shirt section and see a few that catch your eye, perhaps even this one. One of these shirts, though, is listed at $100. At first glance, you scoff, but upon closer inspection, you see that it is labeled 40% off. After seeing this figure, you buy the t-shirt because in your head, you see yourself as buying a high-quality $100 t-shirt for just $60, even if it was still $40 more than you originally intended to spend. So, what exactly happened here? For starters, you fell victim to something called anchoring, which is one of the many forms of cognitive bias that make us rely heavily on the first piece of information we were told, regardless of what there is to come. While anchoring is just one form of cognitive bias, there are many others. For the purposes of this video, though, we will define cognitive bias as mental shortcuts or patterns that help us make decisions quickly. These cognitive biases can be effective in some applications, and nearly all of us use them every day. However, if used incorrectly, these biases can lead to discrimination and unjust outcomes. One example of the poor use of cognitive bias is in the field of law, as here it can be a real detriment to justice. Over the years, studies have shown that judges face the same levels of cognitive bias as the rest of us, and these stats tell us that biases can and do play a role in the decisions that they make. From confirmation bias to overconfidence bias and many more, judges, whether they know it or not, are subject to this bias. Specifically, the influence of cognitive bias can have detrimental effects on people's lives. Evidence says that minorities are sentenced much more severely than their white counterparts. Further, Black and Hispanic Americans make up 32% of the population, yet 56% of the incarcerated population. The disparities in judicial decision-making go on and on. While these disparities can be in part blamed on a poor and biased system overall, the role of cognitive biases is extensive. Perceived biases held by judges can influence the decision of a case if the sentence is guilty and even the potential for capital punishment. These biases often manifest into forms of racial and gender bias, which uphold stereotypes and allow the status quo to continue. With that being said, what is being done? For starters, educational programs dedicated to the awareness of cognitive bias, as well as how to management, are becoming increasingly widespread. These programs, in combination with independent reviews of long-term case outcomes, help paint a picture of the entire situation at hand and whether or not bias has played a role. These efforts are coming from both state and federal governments, but awareness and voting on behalf of representatives who want to combat judicial cognitive bias is an essential part of the solution. Therefore, it is up to us, the people, to help continue to solve this problem in order to shape the criminal justice system the way we want it to be. Well, the time for change is here. Only we can start it. Thank you.